Hey everyone, I am back ready to finish chapter 2, which is Be Impeccable with Your Word. All right, so let's close out this chapter. All right, looking at everyday human interactions, imagine how many times we cast spells on each other with our word. Over time, this interaction has become the worst form of black magic, and we call it gossip. Gossip is black magic at its very worst because it is pure poison. We learned how to gossip by agreement. When we were children, we heard the adults around us gossiping all the time, openly giving their opinions about other people. They even had opinions about people they didn't know. Emotional poison was transferred along with the opinions, and we learned this as the normal way to communicate. Think about it. Let's not lie. How many times have you found yourself gossiping, right? Or talking about someone you don't know, or whatever? Um, people, we've learned as a culture to do that because, again, we've learned to adopt the agreements of our parents, right? Or the people that loved us and took care of us. Even if our parents were good people, still we were around adults or other people that influenced us. So it didn't just happen in a bubble. We learned it somewhere. All right. Gossiping has become the main form of communication in human society. It has become the way we feel close to each other because it makes us feel better to see someone else feel as badly as we do. There is an old expression that says misery loves likes company. And people who are suffering in hell don't want to be all alone. Fear and suffering are an important part of the dream of the planet. They are how the dream of the planet keeps us down. Now, I want you to just stop and think about what I just said and not think about it super mystical, but just think about your own life, your own stories, your own situations, or people you've been around that you see that they are miserable, and so they put that on you. And that's the reason I say all the time is we got to get out of ego, because most of the time it's not about you, it's about them, and they're just bringing that onto you, and then we make that agreement. So I think this is very interesting. All right, using the analogy of the human mind as a computer, gossip can be compared to a computer virus. A computer virus is a piece of computer language written in the same language all the other codes are written in, but with a harmful intent. This code is inserted into the program of your computer when you least expect it, and most of the time without your awareness. After this code has been introduced, your computer doesn't work quite right, or it doesn't function at all because the codes are so mixed up with so many conflicting messages that it stops producing good results. Mind you, this was written in 97. Human gossip works exactly the same way. For example, you are beginning a new class with a new teacher and you have looked forward to it for a long time. On the first day of class, you run into someone who took the class before, who tells you, "Ooh, that instructor was such a pompous jerk. He didn't know what he was talking about, and he was a pervert too, so watch out." You are immediately imprinted with the word and the emotional code the person had when saying this. But what you are not aware of is his or her motivation in telling you. This person could be angry for failing the class or simply making an assumption based on fears and prejudices, but because you have learned to ingest information like a child, some part of you believes the gossip, and you go on to the class. As the teacher speaks, you feel the poison come up inside you, and you don't realize you see the teacher through the eyes of the person who gave you that gossip. Now, I have to stop there because I have had that happen to me, and I have felt it before. And it's really powerful. What a person says can influence how you think about somebody before you even know them. So that's the biggest reason I constantly say to not believe the lie. Like, just genuinely believe what your agreement tells you. All right. Then you start talking to other people in the class about this, and they start to see the teacher in the same way, as a jerk and a pervert. You really hate the class, and soon you decide to drop out. You blame the teacher, but it is gossip that is to blame. All of this mess can be caused by one little computer virus. One little piece of information can break down communication between people, causing every person it touches to become infected and contagious to others. Imagine that every single time others gossip to you, they insert a computer virus in your mind, causing you to think a little less clearly every time. Then imagine that in an effort to clean up your own confusion and get some relief from the poison, you gossip and spread these viruses to someone else. Now imagine this pattern going on in a never ending chain between all the humans on Earth. The result is a world full of humans who can only read information through circuits that are clogged with a poisonous, contagious virus. Once again, the poisonous virus is what the Toltecs called the mitote, the chaos of 1,000 different voices all trying to talk at once in the mind. Whew. Can you imagine just having all of those inner voices talking to you? Judgment, this, that, don't do this, don't trust that. They said this, they said that. And it's like, you really got to step back and think about who you are around, the circle that your circle, your inner circle, and even your outer circle. But if you have these thoughts, or if I'm striking a chord at all, it's a good thing to step back and maybe reevaluate, people, relationships, situations, and, get some clarity. All right. Even worse are the black magicians or computer hackers who intentionally spread the virus. Think back to a time when you or someone you know was angry with someone else and desired revenge. In order to seek revenge, you said something to or about that person with the intention of spreading poison and making the person feel bad about him or herself. As children, we do this quite thoughtlessly. But as we grow older, we become much more calculated in our efforts to bring other people down. Then we lie to ourselves and say that person received a just punishment for their wrongdoing. When we see the world through a computer virus, it is easy to justify the cruelest behavior. What we don't see is the misuse of our word is putting us deeper into hell. For years, we have received the gossip and spells from the words of others, but also from the way we use our word with ourselves. We talk to ourselves constantly, and most of the time we say things like, I look fat, I look ugly, I'm getting old, I'm losing my hair, I'm stupid, I never understand anything, I will never be good enough, and I'm never going to be perfect. Do you see how we use the word against ourselves? I I'm just, I read this and I'm just blown away at how something so simple when you read it is so impactful, and how it really gives you that aha, oh my gosh, how many times did I say this to myself? Or how many times have I heard someone else say this about themselves? And it's all a lie, but we believe it because it's an agreement, and it's agreement that we probably originally got from someone else. All right, we must begin to understand what the word is and what the word does. If you understand the first agreement, be impeccable with your word, you begin to see all the changes that can happen in your life. Changes first in the way you deal with yourself, and later in the way you deal with other people, especially those you love the most. Now, I found that sentence to be highlightable because, again, I'm going to say it again, changes first in the way you deal with yourself, later in the way you deal with other people, especially those you love the most. The problem that we do is we mistake, I have to be good for them first. I have to do for them first, and blah, 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 blah. And what happens is you deplete yourself. So, what I find important about that is change only comes from you, right? You do not have the ability, the authority, the power to change another person. I I have tried. I looking back, I have tried to change other people. I have tried to say, well, if they just do this, or if you just don't do that, or if you just stop doing this, or stop doing this and that, or whatever. And if I do this to that, then they'll do this. And it's like, it's exhausting and it's depleting. And that's how things break down. So all you are, you know, responsible for is you, yourself, and how you react to things. No one else is responsible for that. So this one really hits me, and it's something that I really bring across to my clients because it's important. If you get stuck in that web and that cycle and that lie, that's your whole life. You're living that whole lie, and it's debilitating. So yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. All right, so all right, where am I at? So consider how many times you have gossiped about the person you love the most to gain the support of others for your point of view. How many times have you hooked other people's attention and spread poison about your loved one in order to make your opinion right? Your opinion is nothing but your point of view. It is not necessarily true. Your opinion comes from your beliefs, your own ego, and your own dream. We create all this poison and spread it to others just so we can feel right about our own point of view. If we adopt the first agreement and become impeccable with our word, any emotional poison will eventually be cleaned from our mind and from our communication in our personal relationships, including with our pet dog or cat. Impeccability of the word will also give you immunity from anyone putting a negative spell on you. You will only receive a negative idea if your mind is fertile ground for that idea. When you become impeccable with your word, your mind is no longer fertile ground for words that come from black magic. Instead, it is fertile for the words that come from love. You can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self-love. How much you love yourself and how you feel about yourself are directly proportionate to the quality and integrity of your word. When you are impeccable with your word, you feel good, you feel happy, and at peace. So be very careful about how you talk to yourself, right? It's okay if you feel like, oh, I don't look my best today, or oh, I'm not on my game. That's okay because that is honesty. But when you say things, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that, that is not being impeccable with your word. And if you are false against yourself, guess what? You're going to be false against everyone else. So if you're going to kind of not live by the book, but kind of adopt the agreements in here, being impeccable with your word, it means speaking truth to your own self. All right, you can transcend the dream of hell just by making the agreement to be impeccable with your word. Right now, I am planting that seed in your mind. Whether or not the seed grows depends upon how fertile your mind is for the seeds of love. It is up to you to make this agreement with yourself. I am impeccable with my word. Nurture this seed, and as it grows in your mind, it will generate more seeds of love to replace the seeds of fear. This first agreement will change the kind of seeds your mind is fertile for. Be impeccable with your word. This is the first agreement that you should make if you want to be free, if you want to be happy, if you want to transcend the level of existence that is hell. It is powerful. Use the word in the correct way. Use the word to share your love. Use white magic beginning with yourself. Tell yourself how wonderful you are, how great you are. Tell yourself how much you love yourself. Use the word to break all those teeny tiny agreements that make you suffer. That is not being a narcissist. Okay, I have dealt with narcissism quite a bit in my personal life and professional life. And I'm here to tell you that you loving yourself and treating yourself kindly and being important to yourself, that is not narcissism. All right, it is possible. It is possible because I did it, says it in the book. But guess what? I did it too. And I am no better than you. No, we are exactly the same. We have the same kind of brain, the same kind of bodies. We are humans. If I was able to break those agreements and create new agreements, then you can do the same. If I can be impeccable with my word, why not you? Just this one agreement can change your whole life. Impeccability of the word can lead you to personal freedom, to huge success and abundance. It can take away all fear and transform it into joy and love. Just imagine what you can create with impeccability of the word. With the impeccability of the word, you can transcend the dream of fear and live a different life. You can live in heaven in the middle of thousands of people living in hell because you are immune to the hell. You can attain the kingdom of heaven from this one agreement. Be impeccable with your word. And with that, namaste. All right, I am done with this chapter. The next chapter that we are getting into, right, is okay, to make sure there, because sometimes there are different things in the chapter. All right, so next time I will start in chapter 3, which is the second agreement, and that is don't take anything personally. Ooh, sit on that one for a minute because how many times have we taken things personally? That one's going to be a good one. So with that said, have a beautiful rest of your day, your evening, your weekend, whatever it is, whenever you're watching this. And again, be most kind to yourself. All right? Peace.